Good morning, everybody, and a very warm welcome. We're in sync there. Good morning, everybody. Very warm welcome to this episode of Ask the Accountant. We are episode number 78. The date is the 22nd of April, 2024. And as always, I'm with my co-host and extraordinaire, Johann Gory. Johann, how's your week been? Good, bad, indifferent?
Good morning. Busy week. Very busy week actually with Client Engager. Surprise launch of a AI-powered chatbot in the help section that even I didn't really know about until about 5 o'clock on Wednesday, at which point I managed to install it, build it, and launch it by about 8 o'clock Wednesday night. So yeah, fairly busy from that point of view. And we're doing a huge revamp of our back-end systems like sales processes and support softwares and stuff. So that's keeping us very busy. But yeah, and more tax returns coming in at On Point Accounting, which is fun times. So yeah, no, busy week, but good, and a relatively chilled weekend. Client Engager support was quite quiet this weekend, which meant I ended up glossing doors and cutting grass. Yeah, this is what happens when people don't keep me busy. I end up doing DIY.
So the big question on everyone's lips, though, is how were you cutting this glass? Did you use your own lawnmower, or did you finally get AI to do it for you?
So I had to use my own lawnmower as a Nefanderthal, but I've got a robotic mower on order.
Oh, okay.
I've got one on order. It's not the one you sent me a link to that cost $3,000, but I have got a lawnmower on order. So that'll be one less job for me to do all the time, which will be nice.
Nice.
And it's one that can handle the rain, which in Scotland's a really, really good thing. Like beautiful sunshine all day Saturday. Put the washing out yesterday, and then you have to run out 10 minutes later to get it back in because it's going to end up wetter than it started. So yeah, but yeah, no, that's standard Scottish weekend for me. How was your weekend, Aaron? How was your week?
Weekend was mad, if I'm completely honest with you. It didn't help that Formula One's been all over the place. So 3 a.m. starts to, if you want to be fully dedicated.
Some of us are not that dedicated.
But Sunday, I like to tell everyone that I partaked in the London Marathon. Now, I didn't run the London Marathon. Oh no, I felt like I did. But I had to travel into London for work. And I had to literally go to near enough the start line for the London Marathon. And we come into London via St. Pank and King's Cross. We come in that area. So the idea of getting from, and if you ever look at where the map of the London Marathon is, I had to try and go through the London Marathon, which is pretty difficult, right? So, like, especially when they close trains and everything else. So yeah, it was an interesting trip, say the least. I was absolutely destroyed by the time I got there, lugging all my gear around, getting on there. But we're on set, so I'm a client of ours and on set with them, and answering tax questions while asking questions about gear and taking photos and all that, videos. It's all good fun. So yeah, should be good week in there. But we've got a big week ahead of us in terms of news, maybe. We've got some good client engager news at least to go through. But before we go through that, let's talk about the most important people of the show, and that is our wonderful community. We have Dave and Nicole. Good morning, Dave. Cheryl there. Good morning, Cheryl. Paul's here. Natasha's here. Another Paul's here. And Paul says, big thank you to Client Engager. This was my first year starting with it. So far, 18% of self-assessment accounts are in already. I think that's a recurring theme with Client Engager users, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, it's certainly something where because we've got our own practices, we've been trying to use Client Engager as much as we can in our firms to systemize and automate as much as possible and be as proactive as possible. And then I've spent quite a lot of time sharing what I'm doing. No cloak and daggers, no black magic, just this is what I've been doing. Others have gone, oh, well, that's a good idea. And that's really simple. That's not going to take me any time. So we'll do it. And they're seeing the benefits, which is fantastic.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Kirsty's here as well. Good morning to Kirsty. Right. First part of our section in terms of news. It's a bit of a downer we're starting on here, isn't it? We spoke about it a while back, like a couple of weeks back, about, oh no, public service announcement. StreamYard is going to be changing. And in fairness, it's not StreamYard's fault, this one. But Facebook group now will not allow streaming into their group at all. Seems to have gone live, or it's been deactivated over the weekend, causing us no end of issues. We even wanted to go live to the client engager group today, didn't we? We wanted to.
We did.
Them in, but that stopped that plan going forward. So yeah, again, I just don't understand the logic of this one. If they're still allowing us to go to Facebook pages, which, hello, 2 of you are on our Facebook page. Hello, how's it going? That tune into that. Why allow to go to the Facebook user, a Facebook page, and not to group itself? Just makes no sense at all. So yeah, public service announcement. StreamYard and every other streaming platform out there cannot now go to groups within Facebook, which is probably the last bit of Facebook that anyone ever uses. So yeah, is this the end of Facebook? What do you think?
I mean, I can almost understand why they've stopped it. So we can still stream to Facebook groups, but we have to use the Meta Studio rubbish software that they've got built in free. That's fine. However, what that means is you can't stream to. So when you and I log into StreamYard,
Yep.
we stream to multiple places all at the same time, and that's fantastic. If you want to stream to a Facebook group, you're only going to be able to stream to that one Facebook group. There's no broad attack, cluster bombing, as we call it, of social media. Also, the Meta Studio doesn't have all of these great effects that you guys are seeing on the screen. If you're watching us now, like, you can't have multiple screens and graphics and stuff and share screens and stuff like that. So it's a bit of a pain in the backside, if I'm honest. Now, every week on a Wednesday night, I go live into the client engager group and do a Q&A session, and that's a big part of our support and our continuous effort to build and support that community. Now, I have got a solution, but Christ, it's a crowbarred inner solution. So
Yep.
I'm now going to have to use Ecamm to create a virtual camera. And on Ecamm, I can do all of these like effects and backgrounds and share my screen and transitions and all that. But I then have to convince my computer that all of that that's going through Ecamm is then a virtual camera, which is like a fake webcam.
Yep.
And then Meta Studio needs to stream me thinking that's my webcam. But it still means I'm only able to stream to one location at a time, which is a real kick in the backside, which for me, it's not an issue for the client engager thing. We can make that work. But for podcasting solutions and people like yourself and myself, Aaron, where normally when we're on this stuff, we're trying to stream to multiple locations, now means Facebook groups just aren't available. I've been doing some digging in, and there's a lot of tin hat moments and a lot of speculation as to why this is happening. There's quite a lot of people saying that it's Facebook's attempt to be seen as responsible social media. So what they're worried about is if we're allowing people to stream into groups which can be private and no one can see it, we could be manifesting hate speech and terrorism and all of this terrible stuff. Whereas by letting us stream into Facebook groups via the Meta Studio, they can be keeping tabs on what's being discussed, etc. So they know whether they shut down a Facebook group or not. Whereas at the moment, they've got no control. And the reason they've left Facebook pages allowed to be streamed to is because that's an open public thing that everyone can see, and it's more likely to be reported if anyone sees it and goes, that's hate speech or whatever else it is. And people are less likely to be as hate speechy type people if they know it's going to a public forum where they might be called out. So yeah, it's a bit of a pain. I very much doubt that's Facebook's reason. And I mean, the problem here is we've got Facebook groups, we've got pages, we've got LinkedIn. We don't own any of it.
No.
Like at the moment, Client Engager is moving onto a new software, for our help desk, which I'm having great fun copy and pasting reams and reams of articles for. But there's a reason we're doing that. And that's because that new help desk, if we want to turn it on, can have a community behind it where you can log in and make comments and react to and ask questions and stuff like that. Because at least that way we control that asset of our community. Because all it takes tomorrow morning is for someone at Facebook to wake up in the morning and Mark could go, you know what? I don't like Facebook groups anymore. Turn it off. Now for us, that's 1,300 people we're not able to now talk to. That's 2,500 comments and reactions every month in the Client Engager group. That's 360 questions being asked and posts being asked that we're not getting because we don't control that asset. Ultimately, Facebook controls that asset. So we are trying to future-proof ourselves with a new help system that can have a community turned on in it if we want it, because ultimately we just don't know what, like, and people that build their businesses around LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, etc. Ultimately, it's not your platform. It's not your asset. You're renting land basically in the social media world. So make sure if your business is reliant on it, that you find a way to change that. Now,
Yeah.
go on.
Isn't the problem though about discoverability? If you created your own platform or you used your own, website, whatever it's going to be, to generate that, so you could have a Discord group, you could have anything like to run that community. But it's discoverability, isn't it? That's where Facebook has won so far, right? How long for, we don't know. Like you rightly say there, like we're on borrowed time and Facebook's not going to be around forever and everything else. But it's the discoverability that's its strength. And one of that discoverability, or one of the strengths of those groups, is we're going to have this content going in, and it was nice and easy to get that content in. All Facebook's doing with this, in my eyes, is just preventing growth. It's preventing the usability of the platform, because for us, we're now never going to, like for us, the accountant, we're never going to go into a group now. That's done. Like there's no, it's already a faff to get to LinkedIn, Instagram, right? And how much longer we're going to continue posting or putting it live to Instagram is up for debate as well, because there's that added bit where we have to go through to get it in there and everything else and push it to, right? So I can't see, for me, how this long-term wise is going to benefit Facebook. And, yes, maybe it is to do with the hate speech, but as we said off camera, like they're already listening to every word I'm saying. Every word I'm saying now is now being recorded by Facebook somehow, some way. And I'll probably get some ad later about a podcast gear or something, because, I'm talking about podcasting, right? Or as we joked about llamas, like they already have such great technology in terms of listening to everything we say. So the idea that they want to be more protective over their groups and everything so that they can, I think I just, maybe that's the case, but at the same time, you don't buy it, right? Because they already have such technology that they could listen into anything anyway.
Yeah, no, exactly. And yeah, it's always going to be a risk. But that is the biggest challenge, is discoverability when you're using something else. Like I can't go and stream into my Facebook, into my LinkedIn, into my community on this new help desk. That's just not happening. Like, so I'm gonna have to find, am I gonna have to do like a private stream into the YouTube page for Client Engager and then share the link? Like, this is every Wednesday night at 7:30. Click on this link and this is where we'll be. It's just not, like, I can guarantee view numbers and attendance will plummet. So yeah, it's,
I mean, you can stream natively to StreamYard, right? You don't have to put it to a platform. So StreamYard could be your platform of interaction and everything else, like the webinar platform and all that that's available, right? So if you needed to, you don't have to jump on and like piggyback off another service. You could just use directly to StreamYard and share that link. Like you've already said, like it's just not slick, is it? Like that's the problem.
There's more pain points than it's worth.
Yeah, which we don't like.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see on Wednesday, won't we? The proof will be on pudding how it is on Wednesday, and what it looks like. Do people even notice? I suppose that's going to be a key factor, isn't it? I mean, we'll see how it goes from there. Breaking news, and you picked up on this one, so I'll let you kind of give some details on it. But apparently, Workflow Max has hit some problems. Might not be around for much longer. Go for it.
So Workflow Max was announced a while ago. It was going to be turned off. This isn't a huge issue for the UK. Most people in the UK use Xero Practice Manager, but they don't necessarily use the Workflow Max part of it. But I know this is huge for our friends down in Australia. There's many businesses using Workflow Max down there, because it's not just for accountants and bookkeepers. There's a lot of businesses using Workflow Max for tracking their work, which is then powering information into Xero for them to do their billing and stuff. But yeah, Workflow Max turns off on the 26th of June. So what's that, 65 days away? And according to some statistics I've just seen on social media from Heather Smith, who is a fantastic accountant and Xero fan down in Australia, there's still 10,000 businesses using it yet to migrate. Wow. So people are still clinging on. But this isn't just you can't use it anymore, but you'll have read only. This is you can't log in 65 days. Like, that's it. It's gone. No read only access. No anything. No unsupported access. It's just gone. So, yeah, if you're using Workflow Max still, it's time to have another look around.
Well, it's been acquired though, hasn't it? Workflow Max.
Yes, it was acquired. Xero sold it.
Yeah.
And then those that have acquired it have now decided to turn it off.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right. Okay.
But this doesn't help. So I think there was a fantastic article out by Tom Herbert at Accounting Web last week about accountants and bookkeepers being afraid of software selling up.
Yeah.
And this is exactly why they're afraid of software selling up. Like, they don't want to commit to a new software in fear of them selling up to one of the big boys and just getting either ruined or turned off.
I mean, look at every single acquisition Iris has ever made.
Yeah. Look at the feedback that's coming out about Center. Look at the feedback that's coming out about Go Proposal at the moment. Like, original users are not happy. And so, and it's examples like this where they buy it and then turn it off.
Yeah.
That's why your accountants and bookkeepers are afraid. And it's one of our biggest obstacles at Client Engager. But it used to be, oh, well, you've not got this feature versus that platform, etc. Whereas now it's can you guarantee us you won't sell up? It's like, well, I can't guarantee anything. I don't know what the future holds. What I can tell you is these are my beliefs and these are my theories and ethos and morals, and I'll stand by those.
Yeah. But even, any business out there, like, you don't know what's going to come around the corner, right? Like, for you to be relevant, you might need X amount of millions of pounds of funding to keep up with the trend or whatever, in a couple of years' time. And you may need to sell out at that point. Who knows? Yeah. Like, that's a scary thing, right? And this is where it gets really, really interesting. And we've struggled at the moment, haven't we, to find positive solutions of buyouts that have gone well. Like that's a trend that needs to be booked. Like, we need to find an opportunity where that's actually been beneficial. Yeah.
But it's certainly interesting to see how many people are nervous about firms software selling up. But this is a prime example as to why. They're quite happy with that tool. And there's still 10,000 businesses that are still happy with that tool and they don't really want to move. So what can you do?
Bad times.
Software shopping time.
So that's Workflow Max, but I've heard of a maximum partnership that's going to be brewing.
That was a painful link.
You know, we got to work on these segues, but we got to work on it. We got to
You do.
start from scratch, right? Like
Your first attempt's better than no attempt. I'll give you that.
before we jump into that, though, we had a bit of chatter in the chat. Victoria's just joined us. Good morning, Victoria. Sue's joined us. Good morning, Sue. Sam's joined us. Good morning, Sam. Paul says it's a glorified Zoom call to the group going forward. So, yeah, pretty much it. And Natasha's still struggling to find a solution. It's driving her bonkers. Yes, we wish we could tell
I
you.
think Natasha's solution for her, on the assumption it's only going to one place, would be, and that's her Facebook group, would be eCam, set it up as a virtual cam.
She's Windows, though, isn't she?
So eCam doesn't even work. Yeah, get a MacBook, then you can eCam. But like eCam's not cheap. It's like $30 a month for the privilege of having a privilege of the virtual cam. Now, for me, that's fine because I use it in so many different ways that it's actually worth its money. But if you're only streaming once a month into a Facebook group or something, then that's an expensive stream.
Yeah.
It's even more expensive when you've got to buy a Mac to be able to do it. But yeah.
So, Client Engager has a new partnership brewing. Came out of nowhere, as you kind of said. Do you want to talk about it first, and then we can kind of delve a little bit deeper into it?
Yeah. So, for us, it didn't come out of nowhere, but we've kept it very down low because we weren't sure quite how it was going to work or who it was going to. Well, we knew who we wanted it to be with. The challenges were like, how do we implement it? What phases do we have, etc., and how do we work together with that software? And they wanted to work out how they were going to work with us and stuff. And we've had lots of chats about the future about it, and what the dream product is in the future is phenomenal, but it's very much a dream. And as anyone that uses Client Engager knows, I'm not here to sell you a dream. I'm here to tell you what we're going to do now. And once that dream becomes reality, I'll go, this is what I was dreaming of, by the way. So, so we've got a new partnership that's going live now. So in about 10 days' time, the first phase of this partnership will go live in product. And that partnership is with Tax on Demand, or TOD, as it's known. So we will be, the first step of this is you'll go into Client Engager, and where you've got the drop-down box for the helps, settings, etc., there'll be a Ask Todd button. So that will take you through to Todd, where you can ask it questions. So Todd is a tax research AI tool that's currently in beta testing. I've been using Todd for months now, as has Andy in our firms. Aaron, I believe you're a Todd user, and you're enjoying using it. So basically what you can do is, instead of having to find a tax expert to ask a question to, you can ask Todd. And Todd's been built as a large language model using all of the research and the tax guidance documents to answer questions about tax, basically. So it's not connected by ChatGPT or anything else. It is a purpose-built, UK-based LLM where they have literally fed it 65,000 pages of tax guidance notes. And they're now feeding it with things like case studies, legal requirements, all sorts of stuff like that. It's growing quickly. And basically, it's there to answer your questions. So our first step will be just to be able to go ask Todd in product. It opens a new window and you ask your question. And Todd comes back to you with its answers. It also states the documentation and the sources that it got those answers from, so you can check them. But because it was built in the way it was, it's very, very unlikely it's dreamt up any answers because it's been fed the right information, current information, etc. Now, that is just phase one, and Todd and Client Engager are in talks about how we take that forwards and what we can do. So yeah, it's very exciting. And it's just, again, like, we could plug into Copilot from Microsoft or Chat GPT, or is it Gemini that Google are calling their AI tool this
Yep,
week?
yep, yep, yep.
The name seems to change on a weekly basis. And we could help you tone your emails better, or rephase your emails, or summarize a long email from a client. But there's plenty of tools out there for that. I don't feel that that's a good use of AI in a practice management tool at the moment. It's a bit gimmicky. I don't know how much value it offers. Like, I've been using Spark for the last 6 months as an email provider just to try and see if it helps me at all. And it's cool, but it's gimmicky. And
Yeah.
actually, every AI written email that I tell it to write, I have to go in and correct it anyway. I'd have been quicker writing my own blooming email. So we could have done that route, but we weren't convinced of the value it would add. Whereas linking to Todd and building a partnership with them, and where our users can go, clients earning this much, they're UK based, these are the sources of their income. What's the best way to structure this income for tax efficiency? And it comes back to you and tells you, right, these are the things to consider. This is where I've got this source of information, blah, blah, blah. It's just incredible. And it means that actually bookkeepers and accountants, especially smaller firms, don't have to be as reliant on these tax experts and stuff like that. Now, there'll always be a place for them, but actually there's a lot of questions where you think, actually, I'm not sure I need to pay large amounts of money for that one answer, when Todd could now answer it for you. So yeah, it's a very small first step into the world of AI, but it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, because it's relevant, right? Like a year ago, all we heard about with the run up to Accountex was, Pixie's AI integration. Who was the one who had integration with Carbon? Yeah, Carbon's AI integration, and like, because it was a buzzword at the time, because it was something that everyone was talking about, then of course they want to launch their, or at least announce their AI element to it that's going to bring through. And I think I saw another news article about NetSuite. They rolled out their AI integration as well, AI capabilities. This is NetSuite. This is like one of the biggest platforms there is for the mid-market, right? And higher. But every one of those ones, I mean, question, where is the Pixie AI got there? Because last I heard, that's gone, like, or at least sunsetted for now.
Never made it to market.
Yeah.
What I can tell.
And didn't really feel like, you've already mentioned it was looking at email or making your tone of your email better. And honestly, if you just go into www.grammarly.com and install that plugin, it's going to do exactly that for you anyway. Like, that to me isn't AI. That's not really giving me much extra than what I could do with a simple plugin. Or we could go the Carbon route, which again I don't think's really materialized. Didn't feel very relevant, but this is.
I think it is there. I just think people aren't shouting about it because it's actually more gimmick than it is benefit.
Because it's not giving us the access we need, right? Like, for us, and I know this partnership is in its early stages, but even in its early stages, it's given us an actual use case from day one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, they could be even more integrations later down the line. And, we know that Todd's got some amazing things coming its own way. Like, if any of that can be leveraged into Client Engager, wow, like that would be amazing. But in its simplest term, having just someone to be able to ask questions that are relevant to us, that's what we need as a practice management solution, right? That's what we need to help us go forward. And yes, at the moment, it's very much a case of we've got to ask it for something to give us an answer back. But in the first stage, that's going to be so powerful, even for just gathering what sort of questions are being asked. Where should the AI be looking? What, just that bit's going to be enough to go, right, well, is this worthwhile? Like, just the heat map of how much it gets used will be so important to where this can go going forward, right?
Yeah, and so what they're working on at the moment, and this is all public information on their website and stuff, is feeding sets of accounts into Todd, and Todd will then spit out, oh, this bit's not very tax efficient. You might want to look at X, Y, and Z. Now, you might know that's not tax efficient, and it's been done that way for a reason, because there's a lifetime goal or something being achieved by doing it that way. But that's their next goal. Now, where Client Engager can step in there is potentially, everyone's uploading their accounts to Client Engager. So can we then feed that into Todd? We don't know yet. We need to look at that. Tinfoil hat, blue sky thinking here, whatever you want to call it. But the dream would be that Todd could power an internal AI bot in Client Engager, where Todd is only able to see your firm's data, and it can do all sorts of magical stuff, like you're on the phone and you say, what's so-and-so's UTR number, and it pulls you through, and what's so-and-so's tax liability, and it pulls it through, and all stuff like that. There's all sorts of potential possibility there, but it's all blue sky thinking at the moment. What we need to do is Todd needs to carry on with their roadmap that they've got funding for, and then we're in talks with them about how we would like to use it and what it can and can't power. Then we need to look at the technicalities of how it would work. So it's not going to be a fast moving and quick delivery here. Like, it's all speculative at the moment. But the fact that we've started the partnership, and we've been talking to one another for months now. But this is all going in the right direction now.
Yeah. And you say that it's not going to be, done from day one, or at least it's not going to be, the blue sky stuff's not going to be there. But the fact that you'll have a working, call it a prototype, call it whatever you want, like first steps, it's not a beta, is it? Because we both know both sides of the solutions work. This is just a first step, a first foray into AI for both, for Client Engager. And it's far more impactful than, well, let's just show the shiny concept of it that never materialized. And that's what, unfortunately, most of the competition's done, right? And it just leaves a sour taste in your mouth, doesn't it? Because it's like, well, talking about it, and all it was done was to get people to go to the booth at Accountex, right? That's what it was there for, and that's what it did. And it just frustrates you, because we've already said, like, the concept of what AI can bring to accountants when it's blue sky thinking, everything else, if we can have access to all the ecosystem, the idea that one day AI can tell us that, oh, don't go and ask that particular client for those bank statements, because we've already got the bank statements. They're just, they're just not in their normal place. They're in this area or whatever. Like, that's where it could get to one day. And excited. What's the kind of uptake been in your firm then for Todd then? What's been some of the use cases for it so far?
So it's actually taken a lot of pressure off me or Scott or Vicky, the more experienced tax people, because our client managers are asking Todd questions. Like, I've just had a client meeting, I need to know this. They've asked Todd, they've got the answers, and then they've run that by myself, Vicky, or Scott, just to make sure it's right.
Yeah.
And then they've gone back. So it's allowing them to come across as the experts, and they're learning by the answers that they're getting from the questions they're asking. So it's been fantastic, and the team have been very much using Todd for a while now. And again, it's one of those small softwares that, like Armalytics and Xenon Connect and Cresco and Zama, that it's just nice to be in that small community of developers who are doing things right. Like, we've always said, and this is one of Andy's big things, so I'm always focused on our community. And if you're not just joining a software Client Engager, you're joining the community of software users. And Andy's push is always, I don't just want to be a practice management tool, but I don't want to have to do everything myself. So he looks at Client Engager more like a department store. He looks at it like Harrods, of, we are providing a drawer for people to come in and use us. And then things like AML, well, why reinvent the wheel and do a mediocre job of it when we can just talk to Zama, which is best in class?
Mm-hmm.
Why reinvent the wheel of data analytics when we can just talk to Xenon, which is best in class?
Yeah.
So that's very much the approach we're taking of, we could try and do AI ourselves. Do we want that risk, liability? Have we got better things to do with our time? Right, let's talk to Todd, who are best in class. Like, no one else is out there feeding tax documentation into Todd to teach it about case studies and case law, etc., in regards to tax. And yeah, what they've got on their roadmap is like, I'm buzzing, because it means actually we could probably automate some of the initial accounts checks and tax return checks through Todd in the long run. So yeah, for my firm, it's going to be huge.
Yeah, 100%. I think your analogy there of the department store and everything else, the other way of looking at it is you could have just sat there and built an app store, right? You could have said, here's a client engager app store, here's your APIs, go off and build how many apps you want, and you could have just monetized it. And like, sounds very familiar, right? Like Zero, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, but you could have done that route, and you could have gone through and said, right, here's an SDK open sandbox, go to your heart's content, and you know, see you later, sort of thing. That could have been your route. That could have been how you
But
did
don't
it.
forget to pay us for access to our audience.
Yeah, exactly. But the problem you have with that is you just create these subpar experiences. Like, I'll always remember, for me, when I was in the Bright Manager days or County Manager back then, like I used Go Proposal before and didn't like it, and like it didn't fit for me, didn't do what I needed it to do. And then when Bright or County Manager says, "Oh, we've got this new integration with Go Proposal," obviously I was like, there was a shiny button in my software I couldn't use. So I was going to give it another go and go through it all. But the disappointment for me was the fact that it was a half-baked integration. Like, it wasn't doing, like, I was having to transfer data from one to the other and all this and the other. You know, it just didn't feel like a seamless experience.
The thing is, it wasn't the lack of functionality that was the issue. Well, it was obviously an issue for you. It's the fact that that wasn't how it was sold to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Which is why we're being very clear at this moment in time. It's going to be a Ask Todd, and that will take you to the Todd Copilot website, and that's it. Like, we're not turning around saying we've got an AI powered product, because we haven't. That's not what we've got here. We've got a link to a really powerful AI tool baked into the product, which means you can go straight to it. Whereas actually, if AM Bright had been more upfront and open to you about what it actually was that they've delivered today versus what their dream was, then you wouldn't have walked away so annoyed.
Yeah, exactly. And there's that sour thing, and that minimum viable product idea was just like, well, I'm never going to go back to it now. I'm just going to cancel my subscription, and I'm burnt and thingy. But like you said, with this one, it's more of a, right, here's the start of our partnership. Here's a really slick integration that starts off figuring out if, you know, what the community likes about it, and then we can go from there. So no, I'm really, really, really excited. And it does kind of bring in the whole, what AI can do for us going forward, right? I did a video, or filmed a video this week, that I don't know when Lizzie's going to be able to get it out for. And you know, she'll come up with a much better name than I will. But my brief to her was, can AI take over? You know, can AI replace an accountant, sort of thing? Because, you know, going down that route. And I was going through all the scenarios and everything that, again, I was being sold to as, it's going to do this, this, and this. This is Microsoft Copilot. And at every corner, it's like, well, yeah, it's kind of, and this is a paid for product, right? And a premium product at this point. Yeah. And it was just, it was just not delivering on any of what it should have done. Right. But again, it's because it's trying to go for the masses. The thing that Todd's always had going for it that does well is it's got one end goal, and that's all about the UK tax law, and it can provide that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for what can happen with that relationship going forward. I think it's an opportunity, right, for both of you to kind of keep doing. And you've both been like always about community, which is what it's all about.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so we announced this news of the partnership to our community on Friday night, because we always tell our community before we tell the rest of the world. But what really has surprised me over the weekend is how many people are really up for this. Like, even in its most basic form as phase one of, this gives you a link to into a tax research AI powered tool, this, like, the community's buzzing for this. Like, there's so many people saying, "Oh, I've been using Todd for ages. This is great. It's one less clicky type thing, and I can just click in when I need to because I've always got client engager on my screen." Like, and there's so many people that are seeing the value in it. Because when I announced it, I was like, like, I can see the benefit here. Andy can see the benefit here. Ash and Peter can see the benefit here. But will the wider community see the benefit here? Have we got what I would class as early adopters in our community of tech? And I can see by the reactions and all the comments that, yeah, we've got a really cool community full of early adopters. And even those that aren't early adopters are looking at it going, I can see the excitement that these guys have got for this. Actually, I'm going to have a look at this. So not only have we got early adopters, those early adopters and their excitement is now encouraging others to be early adopters.
Yeah.
And that's really exciting as someone that looks after a community of people, is that I can see the benefits for others in the community that aren't traditionally early adopters of tech, looking at that excitement going, I've got FOMO now, I'm missing out here, I'm going to adopt this as well.
Well, that was caused exactly the same with the VoIP conversation, right? So
Yeah.
anyone who doesn't know, Client Engager launched an opportunity for you to click on telephone numbers, and they become deep links that generates it directly into your VoIP solution, and off you go. So one click, create a call, even gives you the opportunity to log that call, right? Like, that's the idea of it. And that was launched as just a bit of a, here's an extra little update for you, you know, might be useful for a certain subset of people. Enjoy. But actually what it's done is now we're having conversation after conversation after conversation of, well, which VoIP solution are you using? Why is that one better? And why is this one better? And what, well, okay, if you can do that with that, and how does this work? And the community is now kind of risen to, we're telling each other how to put, like, what VoIP solutions to use, right?
Yeah.
We've never had that conversation before in that group, and you know, and that's all driven by one little announcement. So this is going to do the same thing. Because for me, one of the big use cases we love Todd for is if we're on the phone to a client and the client asks something, sometimes a quick put into Todd, we can give them a nice response to it that's going to keep them happy and keep them moving on. Whereas before it was always a case of, okay, I best get back to you on that one. Let me do some research, and then it was get back to and make another call, etc., etc. Now they can, oh yeah, it's XYZ, and this is what you should look into. And that's where Todd becomes really powerful, right? Is that whole, let's answer a question there. Let's not frustrate the client by having to come backwards and forwards with them. Let's get that sorted and get that moved on. And yeah, you're creating a suite for accountants to actually empower their clients, right? And give the clients the information they need when they need it. If we need to phone up a client now, or if a client sends in an email asking XYZ, one click, I can phone the client back. Another click, I can go in and get the answer ready on screen to talk to them about it. That's my answering a client. I can do it on any device at any point. I'm just off to the races to go. Whereas, prior to those two updates, it would have been okay, let's email them back and, try and find a time for them, or, jump into this call, or, you know what I mean? Like, there's always going to be friction there, and you're just taking that friction away, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it's just the beginning. It's the real excitement for me was Nick, who works at Todd, is fantastic. He gets the community driven bit, but to see our community so excited about this, because whenever we announce a partnership, we're like, oh, is it? We can see the benefits, but that doesn't mean everyone can. So the fact that so many people are excited by this, yeah, it just proves us we're on the right track. We're talking to the right people, and this isn't the only partnership we've got to announce in the next month. Like, we've got other partnerships coming as well. So yeah, as Andy says, we are just building a bigger and bigger department store,
but with departments that you can trust, instead of just letting anyone into the who pays the amount, who pays the right amount.
We've got APIs with people like Xero and QuickBooks, right? that's because that's fundamental. You've got to have those APIs. I wouldn't necessarily call them partners of Client Engager. It's not a two-way working relationship. It's not a, working together to and better people and things. It's we've built into them because we've got to have that fundamental level of functionality. But when it comes to people like Todd and Xenon and Zama and people like that, they are genuine partnerships where everyone is better for it.
Yeah.
And we're all working together to support our own communities as well.
Yeah. Love it. Absolutely love it. Excited for what's to come. Let's see what has been talking about in the chat. Natasha says, thanks. Now to win the lottery, do you have the winning lottery numbers? That's in reference to the fact that at the moment, you need to invest in a new MacBook, Ecamm subscription, probably a new camera, new Stream Deck, a new background. It doesn't stop there, to be fair. It keeps on going. But yeah, that's the life of trying to keep on top of technology, right? Kirsty says, it sounds exciting. It most certainly does. And Paul says, could Todd analyze Client Engager workflow, for example, acting like a second pair of eyes when reviewing form data, for example?
Yeah, it could in theory in the long run. It could be analyzing time logs to work out what services are being done profitably and efficiently. Like in theory, blue sky thinking, it could do all sorts.
Yeah.
At this moment in time, we're just being very clear that, look, this is it. This is phase one. Is Ask Todd will be a link in the product, and that's what we're doing. We will then announce future developments as and when they come online. As I always say, I'm not here to sell you the dream. I'm here to tell you what's actually happening, because everyone else is very good at selling the dream, I've found. So I prefer to just be open and honest about it.
Yeah, but it's exciting. Times indeed. Sam says, a great first step and lovely company to do who has similar values. Yeah, exactly. And that's what it's about, isn't it? Sarah says, so chuffed to have moved to Client Engager, already using Zama and Xenon, and loving the new partnerships coming through. Yeah, exactly. I think I was skeptical of moving to Zama to begin with, because like, do I need to have another AML solution? This will be my fourth at this point, right? Like, and it's just a training thing, isn't it? Right? You've got to train your staff how to use it, where to go in, and everything else. Didn't have to train anyone on this one, because you'd already done all the research needed and actually made it so much easier.
I have been telling you for 4 years to use Zama, but never mind.
Yeah, well, I tell you to use things, and you ignore them. So I think we're both on the even thing. And embarrassingly, it was it was Andy that told us to use Xenon. So who knows? But no, we're excited for that. And I think there's big things coming in those two places, isn't there? The new partnerships coming through will be sounding good. Natasha says, how to depress me on a Monday morning? Thanks. Well, that's what we're here to do. Yeah, get you up and running on how to settle the day. But no, it'll be fine for you. Like, the Facebook has functionality, doesn't it? We can just use it as its bare minimum, right? Like, from memory, you could use it on your phone if you really need to. You could just set a live going off from there. So the tech's not really the one that holds you back, is it? It's just going to be a friction to get past.
Yeah, and it's ultimately, anyone can still stream into a group using the meta streaming tool. The thing that you aren't going to be able to do is like the names on the screen and the graphics and the intro music and outro music and stuff like that. That's where Meta's streaming up, from what I can see, doesn't have that facility. So you're still going to be able to stream and get the core information across. It's just not going to be as flashy.
Yeah, which I suppose is down to what your subject matter is, don't you? So not everybody needs the flashiness and everything else. And to be fair, the only reason we even have an intro is because it means that we can go live on all those different platforms without any problem. So, speaking of intro and outro, Ashley asks, what do you do with all your old tech? The reference to that is, probably one of the best intros in the game. I'd say it's got to be up there.
Definitely.
Yeah,
his intro last week was fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. Well worth plugging through.
Yeah, for those of you that aren't aware, Aaron and I were on Ashley Leeds' podcast and live LinkedIn show last Wednesday at lunchtime at 12:30. So if you've not seen that, where we were talking all things Accountex and what to look forward to from us at Accountex, then definitely worth flicking back to both myself and Aaron's LinkedIn, both our YouTubes, and all of Ashley's channels. It will be on there from Wednesday last week.
Yeah, and I believe it's a podcast feed as well.
Yep.
So yeah, find it from there. Yeah, no, it was good. It was a good chat, wasn't it? We announced some things that we'll be doing at Accountex, getting people all hyped up. I think he's doing it the same again this time on Wednesday. All about brands, so that'll be a good one to catch up with, won't it?
Yeah, definitely. It'll be a really good episode. So I'll make sure we tune in for that, just to hear the intro and outro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it makes ours look like we've seen, especially our QuickBooks Labs one.
Yeah.
It really puts it into perspective there, doesn't it?
Yeah, we need to work on that
what a good intro and outro should be. Andy says the underdog of finding new software. Exactly. Yeah, we're still blown away that's
Andy found something good.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. But no, he's come up with a gem, hasn't he, with Xenon? Like, yeah. I mean, you're talking about partnerships. That's yeah, the excitement levels for that one as well. Like the ideas that could come along with that is just absolutely brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a real powerhouse, that one.
Yep. Natasha says, thank you for ruining us a Monday anytime. That's what we're here to do. And Ashley says, oh, bless you guys, took me ages to do that intro. Yep, it was absolutely brilliant. That's one for playing with CapCut for you. Putting through the to get that intro all up and running. And you cannot miss the episode. Yes, it's a podcast now. Exactly right. All good going through from there. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this week, isn't it? A bit of a shorter show. We've got other topics, but we can leave them over for the next one, can't we? To bring in a bit too late in the game to start off there. What have you got coming up there? I assume Wednesday's going to be a big day for you. Talking more about the is it going to be ready to show on the Facebook group or not, or is that too?
I mean,
too much?
Peter's off today, so that would mean he has to do it all tomorrow and Wednesday to go live Wednesday night. It's not unheard of, but we shall see. I'll have more of an idea tomorrow after our team meeting in the morning. But even without that, I will be doing a bit of an example of how we use Todd in our firm anyway on that Facebook Live. Yeah, what else have we got coming up? Ash is off for a few days, so I'm covering support, which will be fun. Ash and I normally
birthdays off over a client engagement.
I know, right?
That's you've not really thought that. You need to have someone look at that contract. You know what I mean?
Like 3 months in and he's taken leave. It's a bit ridiculous, really. But yeah, so normally Ash and I deal. Our system divvies up tickets and emails in 50-50. But I've got 100% of them coming my way for the next few days, so that'll be fun. But yeah, no, and then I've got to continue building out this new help center as well for Client Engager, which is looking good. Like lots more power behind it. So that'll be interesting to see. What have you got coming up this week, Aaron?
Well, I'm on set today, so that's always exciting. Get to geek out on how production done. They're doing green screen and they're simulating someone flying and all this sort of stuff and stunts and everything today. So that'll be good fun to see how that's all done.
Gridwalk's going to take an upgrade, isn't it?
Yeah. So trust me, I'm
not flying anywhere if you're doing the wiring. You can do that.
There's a lot that has been learned over the last couple of days. So Gridwalk will hopefully finally get to the quality it deserves, but more on that in another section. But also this is we've got what do you call it coming very, very soon. We've got QuickBooks recertification.
So I got an email last week Have we not spoken about that already? How have you not been moaning at me about how much effort you've had to put in for the recertification training?
Because it's yeah. There's a lot that's happened in the background on that one that it's not been a wonderful experience. Let's put it that way. But we'll get there. We'll get through. But we're excited. Like the recertification stuff this year is going to be nice and strong. So looking forward to get that. And that's all hands to the pump for that one this week. Along with trying to.
You can retake your recertification test from the 1st of June, can't you? Because I've blocked that. Pardon?
1st of May.
1st of May. Oh, you've got to do it. Yes. So from the 1st of May, you can redo your certification. And I've already blocked that out in my diary. Because apparently
300 get some swag.
Yeah. Apparently it's not appropriate to tell everyone that you did the recertification test on a bus like I did 2 years ago. So I've blocked it out. I'll be in the office to do it quickly this time. All right.
We've had to up the difficulty thanks to that comment.
Sorry. If you can do it on a mobile phone while you're getting the bus into Edinburgh City Centre, then it's too easy. Yeah. I'll give you that.
I have to give credit out the where credit's due. Free agents recertification's pretty slick. Their way of doing it's pretty good. That's it. I got to give them credit for that. Zeros was pointless because how I had to name what fonts these were, which just got really confusing.
You'll use bold or italic at this point.
And I did it quarterly, so every quarter they were asking me which font this was. So I don't know.
Oh dear.
So we'll see how that goes. And Wednesday we're going live, aren't we, for QuickBooks Labs? So
we are.
Yeah, not that we know what we're talking about for QuickBooks Labs yet, because there's not too much we can talk about. But we'll go through it. It might actually, with the work paper UI updating today, we might talk about work papers and how we use work papers, because that'll be a nice one to bring in to conversation. Right, I need to get on set. Anything else your end, Johann?
No. Nothing too major going on this end at the moment. It's all good. All good. So
nice.
We will.
Well, thank you everybody for talking to us and putting some comments in and keeping us on the ball. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we will see you bright and early next Monday morning, 8:30 a.m. for another exciting episode of Ask Accountant. And if you want to learn about QuickBooks working papers, join us on Wednesday. It's going to be a busy night for you Wednesday. I've just realised.
Back to back.
Yeah.
Get the vocal zones out ready.
That's what it's like being a accounting celebrity, isn't it? That's what you have to bring to the table. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming along, and we will see you next week. Bye for now.
See you next week.
Well, I really messed this one up. Bye.